on the Texas A&M Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. Brought to you by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Also brought to you in part by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Now, welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, Ags. While football is on pause, the third-ranked Fighting Texas Aggies 8-0 and in a bye week, basketball is on go. Welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan from Rudy's 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. I'm Andrew Monaco. We will review the exhibition win over Arizona State, and we will preview the season that starts next Monday, November 3rd at Reed Arena. And we do that with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Bucky McMillan. We thank you so much for joining us here at Rudy's, all along the Texas A&M Sports Network. Joining us on the 12th Man mobile app, thank you. The Varsity Network app from Learfield, thank you as well. Or behind the mic on the Texas A&M Basketball Facebook page. Check in. Tell us where you're watching, listening. Send us a question as well. We'll get started with head coach Bucky McMillan. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour, and this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Help Texas A&M become the national leader in this new era of college athletics by supporting Aggie NIL. Aggie NIL is the new comprehensive program that will maximize and facilitate third-party NIL opportunities for Aggie student athletes. And whether you're a small business owner, an avid supporter, or a current NIL contributor, there's a role for every member of the 12th Man. Visit 12thman.com/Aggie NIL and make a difference today. Off and running. The Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan, and we get to say howdy, first off,
howdy,
to the head coach, and we get to talk about a game. We played a game.
An exhibition.
Okay. How nice was it?
Yeah, it was
for
good.
all the run-up to see it come into fruition, Bucky.
No, it was good for our players. Like I said, when I was here last week, I think they're tired of playing against me. So getting to play against someone other than me is always fun. But, November – weather's getting a little colder.
Yeah.
Basketball season's getting here quick. So a week away from the real thing, but glad we got to get out there with some refs and have a good time.
What is this week like heading into, because next Monday at this time, we're tipping off a 25-26 season.
Same old, same old.
Is it?
Just cleaning up things that we got to get better at. The good part of exhibition games is that so many new players, you get to really take things you weren't good at, and you get to correct them before the real game happens.
Right.
And I think that's an advantage for the high major programs because there's going to be a lot of roster turnover, and every game matters for the NCAA tournament. So, that'll be good for us. But before that, I want to thank some of the Aggies I see out here that made it to Houston. And it wasn't easy just to get there, and I appreciate those that made it out. I appreciate y'all being there.
That's wonderful, Bucky. And again, as you know, this 12th man going to travel. They're going to travel and support. Usually it was the super secret scrimmages that you would do, or sometimes not so secret. Do you like the addition of the exhibitions now for teams?
I like that it feels like a real game.
Yeah.
You need one of those before the real thing happens. And like I mentioned, just with this much turnover in college basketball, years ago you'd bring back 6-7 returners. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you may bring back 10 returners.
Right.
They know what it's like to put on that jersey, run out of the tunnel, play with refs. But for these players, it was all new to them. Yeah. And so I like them.
There's an awful lot of guys who look awful good in maroon now.
I agree.
They do. Yeah, one of the stories is Zach Clements. And Bucky was kind enough to have us, 12th Man Productions team, and we were talking in his office. He gave us over an hour today to kind of give us that overview of the season. And just a couple things that I wanted to touch on. You use the word fit an awful lot when you say this guy fits what we want to do. When you are out recruiting, and whether it's a high schooler, Bucky, or whether it's a transfer
player. How do you identify if they fit, especially if they might be in another system? Could it be a school that they were at previously, or is there just something that you see in his game that says, that's a guy that I want at Texas A&M?
Yeah, I think processing is really big for us. Like, can you process the game? Like, there's a lot of players who can be really athletic but can be slow on the court because they can't process, you know? And obviously shooting on offense is an equalizer. Getting to intangibles, you got to have unselfish players, and you got to have players who are competitive. I think that's very important. Most upperclassmen are going to be competitive because they want to win. And then there's certain measurables you need to have. Obviously, the late juncture of the recruiting cycle this year, probably couldn't check every box, but we tried to check as many as we could. And when you get that, you're going to have a good player. But because we play really fast, it's important that we have players who can process really fast. And that means that, you know, we don't play, we talked about this today, we don't ever play at a triple threat. Like, you know, most coaches are catch it, triple threat. Like, that's the last thing I want my players doing. Like, I want to make a decision half a second. You know, pass it, rack it, shoot it. I don't care, but quick processors.
So as the other phrase that you used, I think with every kid that we talked about, every young man that we talked about, great kid. That matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to have character and to be able to go through the ups and downs of league play. Because, as we know, I mean, you go 500 in the league, that's like your top 20 team in the country, that's for sure. And so you're going to have ups and downs where you're going to go on a 3-game losing streak. How can you bounce back? And, you know, we know this, that adversity kind of reveals what a character of a person is and dang sure of what a team is. And in basketball, it's a long season. It's not like football. Football, not as many games. And, you know, 2 games can cost you your season in football. In basketball, it's a long process. And you can go. I remember one year our coach at Sanford, we were injured, we were beat up, we lost like 6 in a row. Most teams would have packed in. We turned around and won like our next 15 to 16 and won the league. Yeah, and so that can happen. And so you got to have perseverance, and you got to have the right people that can that have that to them.
So how do you not get too high and too low?
You just got to focus on what your goal is. And your goal should be to reach your potential. Can't be like, hey, our goal, like we mentioned this, like our visions get to the NCAA tournament. But our goal is to get better every day so we can reach our potential. Don't focus on what you're trying to do. Focus on how you got to do it. And if you do that, then you're not so caught up into, hey, well, we lost, we must have played bad. We won, we must have played good. And that's the way that you really cap your improvement if you look at things that way.
With my time with the Spurs with Greg Popovich, the worst thing the Spurs could ever do was win sloppy.
I think that's a lot of programs.
Coaches, that's what it is. There's not everything is you don't throw everything out because of the loss, right? You can see the positives there, but you get to work on the negatives as well after wins, do you not?
Yeah, if you do, don't even focus on the scoreboard most of the time, and you know if you do that and a certain standard to how you play, you're going to keep improving. Right. And I think it's going to be big for this group. Because, I mean, so many new guys, as we mentioned, I don't mean to be redundant on that. They're going to have some lows before the highs that we want to get to. And they got to find ways to grow in those moments.
So that first game tips off. The season tips off next Monday. That is November 3rd, Northwestern State, 7 o'clock, Reed Arena. Can't wait for this season to get started. Hey, a reminder that Aggies Can is celebrating 25 years of giving back to our local community. You can bring your non-perishable food donations to Aggie home events November 14th through the 18th. Special thanks to Brookshire Brothers and H-E-B for partnering with our Student Athlete Advisory Committee in support of the Brazos Valley Food Bank and the 12th Can. Text Aggies Can to 83200 or visit 12thman.com/AggiesCan to learn more. More of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. I like saying that because all my years in broadcasting, it's called a segue. I said, get the best, and the best is back there talking with Joni Taylor. Gary Blair, it's always good to see. That Hall of Famer in a court. Your guys can shoot from his signature. on that court.
Yeah, we can, but you know what? He can shoot a golf shot from that
Yes,
signature.
he can.
So.
Always have Gary in your foursome. Howdy, Coach. I always have Gary in your foursome. When we're talking today, you talked about the vision that you had. Last week, we talked a little bit about the recruiting. You talked about the vision. Bucky, as I was thinking about what you told all of us, I'm thinking about with Mike Elko and football that a number of guys came back. Now, it's a little different, but a number of guys came back and that experience in leadership. But because they saw one another coming back, that group said, okay, we're going to do this again. But you talk about there were some guys who bought into that vision, really helped other guys on this roster. Did they not commit to you and to this school?
Yeah. To rewind, I think most are familiar with this. This was a very atypical recruiting cycle in mid-April. We got here, I guess, April the 7th, or April the 8th. But a lot of the players had committed before April 7th this past year because of the House settlement. They thought they needed to go early in the recruiting process to capitalize on their NIL opportunity. So anyway, it was very atypical. There weren't as many players left in the portal when we got here. And we didn't have anybody on the team. We literally had one player on the team. And so when we were recruiting some of these players that were top-level guys, they had to make a commitment to go be a part of this program. And they had to make that commitment before seeing who else was on the team. And so some of those guys, and the name that sticks out to me the most was Mackenzie Mbako, because he could have gone about anywhere. And he was one of the first to jump on board in our program without knowing who was going to be on the team. Mm-hmm. He had some better financial opportunities other places. So it wasn't that kind of situation.
Right.
It was simply that he believed in what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. And when people saw he got on board, others jumped on board.
Yeah.
And it really, based on when the timing of it was, put together a class that can battle to get the NCAA tournament was really improbable at the time. And it wouldn't have happened if McKenzie didn't jump on, Zach Clements jumped on before we had a roster.
Yeah.
And that was big for the program.
So when did you and the staff start feeling, okay, now we're pointed in the right direction?
When McKenzie jumped on board, I felt we were going to have a chance to capitalize on it.
He became the magnet?
Yeah, because, Rylan Griffin jumps on board.
Yeah.
He sees it. And it's one thing to recruit him, but when we got him on campus, I think it was Warren could tell you all the stats. It was 12 of 12 or 13 of 13 committed.
Wow.
So that tells you what this place is about. I mean, they felt the fever. All you would take them to a baseball game, they could tell. And we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
The thing I love about College Station compared to a place like Houston, Houston's a great basketball program. I mean, top right now, 2 or 3 in the country. If you went to Houston right now and just walked up to the random person on the street and said, hey, do you know about support Houston basketball? Maybe like 0.001% cares or knows. Mm-hmm. Like, there's like 0.0001% here that don't support the Aggies.
Right.
And so when we would bring players on visits, they felt that.
Right.
They knew that it mattered here, and I appreciate everyone for that because that's how we can build something special because it matters. And it's going to take everybody. Yeah. We talked about this earlier. This is a place where we could build something great together. And we started doing that, obviously, with that recruiting cycle just by the passion of this fan base.
But you said, not but. I didn't mean to say but because what's the old phrase? It's everything. Disbelieve everything before the but. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned how you, as the players who brought in and the staff, this is a destination school.
Correct.
You're not going to want to leave.
Well, that's what I like about who we have here with our staff. Is we view this opportunity as a place that we can get to Final Fours and we can play for a national championship. This is a great fit. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is we love it here.
Yeah.
So we have roots here. I have my parents who are here, and they moved out here.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So, my brother moved out here. So my point being, you have Kyle Keller on our staff who has roots in Texas. I asked him, where did you enjoy living the most? He said, College Station by far. Mitch Cole could have potentially been the next head coach of Samford.
Yeah.
He said, no, I want to get back out to College Station. Let's go. Frank Haith is coached here. Darby Rich is coached here. So, I always say, once an Aggie, always an Aggie. Mm-hmm. And they loved it here, and I can see why.
Yeah. He's an Aggie, Bucky McMillan. And this is the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. We'll continue. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Thanks to the generosity of 12th Man Foundation donors, Aggie student-athletes have the resources to succeed at Texas A&M and beyond. Start your tradition of support today at 12thmanfoundation.com. Rolling on, it's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. We are at Rudy's. We are glad you are here. Wednesday, it's a bye week. There is no Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit, but there will be an Aggie Volleyball Hour Wednesday at 6. Jamie Morrison and volleyball taking on Texas on Friday at Reed Arena. Get that out there. Your guys will be there because they're everywhere. They will be there. They have taken care of everything. So I wanted to share you the text from my partner, Dr. John Thornton. And as he said, hey, saw some great things Saturday night in Baton Rouge because he knows that's where I was. He said, and saw some great things today. I enjoyed seeing what has been going on in practice being applied. Did you see that in that exhibition victory? Yeah.
They're playing how we want to play. Like, we play really fast on defense and offense, and we're committed to it totally.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, you got to be, whatever you do in life, if you want to be good at it, you got to be committed to it, right? And same in sports. And so we're committed to playing as fast as anybody on offense and on defense. The hardest thing to do is to play fast. It's like driving a car. Like, you want to drive 100 miles an hour, you're going to crash a lot. Not advise anyone to break the law, but, we're going to play 100 miles an hour and learn how to figure it out.
Right.
And the more you do it, the better you get with it. But the quickest way to get from point A to point B, if you can be safe doing it, is driving 100 miles an hour. And that's what we want to be on the basketball court. We're not risking lives out there. We got to stop fouling so much, so playing 100 miles an hour. So we play that fast, and as the season progresses, we stop fouling as much. We stop turning the ball over as much. But it's a fun way to play, and it's a fun way to win. And so we'll stay with that throughout the season, and we'll get better with it every game.
From where you started to where you are now, what kind of progress have you seen?
For 13 new players, a lot.
Yeah.
They're further ahead right now than I thought they would be.
Really?
Just on knowing kind of what they're supposed to do. Like, our teams have never been – they usually get better and better and better. Just for having this no returners. They're further along knowing what they're supposed to do. I'm not – I know we have our two leading scorers. Two of our leading scorers are out with Pop and Mac. And when they get back, they'll help, have even more depth than we have now.
Right.
But, these guys they know what they're trying to do. And whether they pull it off and execute it right now could be another story. But I promise you those days, it won't be long before we're executing better and better, and we're playing that fast without any car crashes.
If you, again, here's the vision, they sign up for it, okay, I want to be a part of that, does the light burn brighter than saying, okay, this is what I wanted, this is the style? Do you see that confidence growing in that, this is what I wanted, this is how we're playing, this is how I'm getting better, this is how we're getting better? Are you seeing that as well?
Well, I think, with anything, when you tell players, you tell anybody something that's going to happen and it begins to happen, that's when they start believing more. I told you my dad was here tonight, and, I just remember some stories he told me when I was younger, like, hey, if you practice this long, you'll be able to do this in about a week or 2 weeks. And when it worked, I was more receptive to the next time, right? Like, hey, if you study hard, you can get an A on this test, you do it. Now you believe, hey, what he says is going to come true.
Right.
So, like in that game at halftime, I said, look, we've worn these guys out. We'll run away with this game in the last 8 minutes in the little exhibition, and we'll score 50 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And we did all those.
Right.
And I thought we were fresh late. They weren't as fresh as our guys were.
Yeah.
And so when they tell them things that are going to happen and it does happen, they're receptive to what we're doing. I think they're excited about how we're going to play.
Yeah.
And I think that it'll be a team that you'll see, they'll have a lot of juice when they play. Like, there'll be a team that you'll say, hey, they got some momentum, they got some mojo.
Right.
Yep.
We're going to get into personnel in the next half hour, but they are going to play because of that style. you need more than just bodies, right? They are going to get minutes, correct? So it's not like they're just going to sit maybe for a couple weeks at a time.
Yeah, we'll go 10 deep most every game, and sometimes more than that.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to be ready. The one thing, we get a lot of guys in the first half because the game's going so fast, and I would say the biggest difference with how we play is the players kind of want to come out of the game because it is going fast and they are exerting energy.
Right.
And so it's not one of those deals where they need a break. And so we get a lot of players in the first half, and therefore we're able to kind of find out whose night it is. Like Zach wasn't a starter last night, and Josh Holloway wasn't a starter. He was actually the third point guard that came in that game, but they had it going. And so we realized that early in that game because of the minutes they played, and then we stuck with them down the stretch.
Right.
So that's what this team's got to rally around is whose night is it, and go to that and support that.
It's 40 minutes of basketball, right? You'd love to have a game decided at halftime.
Yeah, I would.
That's not the way it works, right?
Not how it works.
You know, with the advantage, and again, with the confidence of playing that style, okay, these next 20 minutes are ours, so to speak.
For sure. And then one thing we got to do is one thing this team, we got to dominate games at home. We got to win at home. And that's how you get to the tournament. Because I promise you, the SEC road games, I mean, trust me, it's not going to be easy going on the road. And when teams come here and they play in Reed, they got to feel like, man, that was tough. They were breathing down my neck. The pace of play was out of control, and those fans were all on top of me. You know, teams that play really fast and teams that press, they're usually really good at home because everybody can rally together and they just feel it. The other team just feels the breaking point. And if we can take care of business at home, we can get that NCAA tournament.
Right.
And that's what we talked about earlier. You get in the NCAA tournament, you're playing for a national championship. That's what it is. Everybody in that NCAA tournament playing for a national championship. And to get that Final Four, there's been all kind of seeds get the Final Four.
Absolutely.
And so that's what's got to be our deal. The quickest route, there's one thing that I would say to get to the NCAA tournament. There's one thing it would say, let's take care of business at home. And we're all going to have to rally together. Our whole team, everybody in here, all of our fans, all Aggies, we got to rally together. And because there's not a game you can impact more than basketball.
Right.
That's an indoor facility where you hear it, you're echoing. And I'm going to tell you, some of these road teams, they're not going to travel all the way out here to Texas. We have that place flooded where they feel like they're playing against an army when we step on that court. And so we do that. We got a chance to get to that tournament, and we got a chance to make some noise.
He's head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. It's Bucky McMillan. Hey, we want to shout out the folks. They are checking in from Tampa and College Station, San Antonio, Midland, Round Rock, and Franklin. Thank you for doing that. Learfield's behind the mic. More of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. When we roll on, this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a Bucky McMillan autographed basketball, and you'll be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Continuing the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan, head coach, Fighting Texas Aggies. Steve has a question for you. Has any other Aggie head coach given you advice on how hard the SEC is to play in? Or have there been other SEC coaches who have told you about that?
Well, Frank Haith, obviously, was in the SEC last year, who's on our staff. And, we do a lot of analytical breakdowns on the league. It'll be the number one league in the country again this year.
Yep.
But everybody knows what it is. I grew up in SEC country in Alabama, 45 minutes from Tuscaloosa. So, it's the best league right now. It's the second best league in the world.
Right behind the NBA.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You use the NBA and the analytics of both sports, do you not? You were kind of go a little inside basketball, if you will, but you use both to kind of talk about how you improved at Samford and what the expectations are this year for Texas A&M.
Yeah, analytics is, tells us a lot of the story. And there's a lot of things that people's own intuition, may not be right on.
Yeah.
And so, a lot with how we play sometimes doesn't pass the eye test, but it passes the analytic test. Mm-hmm. And so, what I mean by that is, you say, man, y'all take a lot of threes. and y'all missed a lot. But when you start adding it up and you start tracking points per possession, you start finding out that, you can actually miss a lot of threes. You kind of make 1 out of 3, you start doing the math of it. You take 10 shots, you make 4 twos, you score 8 points.
Yep.
Take 10 shots, make 3 threes, score, take 10 shots, make 4 twos, score 8 points.
Yeah.
Make 3 threes, score 9 points.
Right. But you're shooting 30%. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're combating.
Right.
Yeah.
And so people sometimes they can't get their mind around that, but they also can't get their mind around the number of offensive rebounds you get because of it.
Right.
The other deal is they can't get their mind around the press. They can't understand, we just gave up a wide open layup. Like in the scrimmage, we just did the stats of the scrimmage. On our pressure, when teams try to attack our pressure, in the last scrimmage, they scored 0.64 points of possession. The national average is 1.07.
Right.
You'll never lose a game if that's how it went.
Yeah.
But what happens is when teams shoot an uncontested layup, it feels like it was 4 points. It was really just 2.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's always important that analytics play an important role, because sometimes things can feel worse than they really are, and sometimes things can feel better, that you're playing better than you really are.
Right.
Yep.
Right. The points per possession, that is a big stat for you guys, is it not?
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't want to be at the average.
Yeah, we want to be above average on offense and below average on defense.
You're right.
But like I mentioned, I was at the Houston Mississippi State scrimmage, and it was halftime. It was 24-18. And if I had to err on one side, I'd rather be erring on the side of the offense. I'll say that. Someone said, I had a coach I played for one time, and the assistant coach was all about defense. And he was talking about defense. In defense, definitely, you got to be good on D.
Yeah.
And he was just like, we went in half, and we had a bad offensive half. And he said, all this talk about defense. I said, I ain't never heard someone win a game 2-0, right? So, and then he said, then I started thinking of that. I was like, how many games have I lost when we scored 100-plus points? Not many.
Right.
So, I think the game's shifting that way a little bit. Defense is, you can't win championships without great defense.
Right.
There's no doubt on that. But sometimes you got to let your offense win the game for you.
Right. But it's a relentless defense that you're going to be playing as well. I mean, that's why you're going to have to you use the combos and you use the number of players, right? Because it's 94 feet that they're going to be playing.
Yeah. Well, we had a game, I remember at Sanford, as a conference game. We scored 136 points, I believe. And I think the first half, it was a conference game. We may score 65 or something, 66, 67, but maybe it was more. I can't remember. But it was the highest scored conference half in 30 years or something.
Wow.
And the other team scored 100 something, but we won by 30.
Yeah.
And we forced something crazy, 35 turnovers, something weird.
Yeah.
And I just remember someone said, man, we got to get our defense better. We scored 100. Dude, we scored 35 turnovers. You'll never lose.
No.
So sometimes you can't look at points either way to say, did you play good offense? And you can't look at points to say, did you play bad defense? I'll give you a good example. In the last little scrimmage, we played bad offense the first half. Everybody was just kind of getting their fill. We scored 95 points, but we should have scored 110.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so those are things that we look at.
And you understand when I say with that roster, Pop and Mac aren't playing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But but that's a great sign that they don't have to carry, right? There's going to be nights where it's going to be Josh or it's going to be Marcus or you're going to have that. I loved, understand the way I said it. As an Aggie, I hated Rylan Griffin in an Alabama uniform, right?
Yeah.
Now I love that young man in an Aggie. That's what I get. It will be some nights for him, right? That's what's really nice, that you have a ton of weapons.
We do have a deep team. We're going to need Mac and Pop, particularly when we get to league play. And, we'll play early, play Oak State early, play UCF early, and Oak State on the road. I mean, they just beat Auburn in exhibition. I know we go to Florida State. They almost beat Alabama in Birmingham. So, some of these we're going to have to battle shorthanded. But, it is what it is, right? I mean, it is what it is. But that's why we play a lot of guys.
Right.
Sometimes players can be so dependent on one or two guys taking all the shots. Those teams, they never work out in tournament basketball. Because what happens is in tournament basketball, if you have one or two guys that are taking the majority of the shots and they take those guys away, well, all of a sudden you're in a tournament game and these players with the life on the line, they haven't really done this.
Right.
And people want to go to what they're comfortable doing in tournament basketball.
Right.
And so the best teams I feel are the best teams that have depth. They trust all their players, and then on offense you have 5 guys that the ones that are on the floor that are threats.
Right.
And that's what we got to have.
I'm going to ask you about the closing 5 when we come back. That, and I love something you brought up today. I want to stay with it. Everything old is new again, or we think it's new, but coaches have done it in the past. That's when we return. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Head on over to your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com to place an order for their real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy's serves made-to-order and grab-and-go breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. We'll be doing this throughout the entire season. There will be 12 Aggie Basketball Hours with Bucky McMillan. We're not doing one next Monday. Bucky's going to be busy on the sideline. Have you thought about what it's going to be like to walk out of that tunnel and onto Reed Arena floor?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
First games always are fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it feels like first games and then the tournament playing basketball, they always kind of stick out the most in your mind.
Yeah. You reminded us that either everything old is new again, like you talk about the style and the confidence in playing your style, Bucky ball. How we talked last week about a Rick Carlisle who's been successful everywhere is now doing it now that he's in Indiana. But Paul Westhead was doing this, right? We had the motion of Doug Moe in the past, and you talked about Nolan Richardson 40 minutes of hell and what Tark was doing at UNLV. Like, there's always been part of this game, and when you can get it together, like those UNLV teams, and again, talent. You have to have the talent to do it. I've always said this, like everybody wanted to play like the Warriors, but not everybody has Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're talking about how you can blend the confidence of this is how we're going to play, right or wrong. This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah,
and it does adapt over different eras.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. You can win or lose different ways.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, just being real that when it comes to high-level basketball, as you get towards the end of the season, the talent will take over.
Yeah.
Like, that's just usually what happens because you got great coaches everywhere. Basketball is that kind of game that talent takes over at some point. But it's been proven you can win playing like Coach Bennett did at Virginia, playing very slow.
Yep.
And real defensive-oriented. You could win playing like Rick Pitino did when he was at Kentucky, playing very fast and pressing, or Nolan Richardson with their 40 minutes of hell. Or Jim Boeheim, and that, like we mentioned, a 2-3 zone the whole game. There's a million different ways to win. There's not one that's necessarily better than the other.
Right.
But for us, we would like to try to play the most fan-friendly, exciting style of basketball that scores a lot of points for all the intangibles that brings to our program. Mm-hmm. And what does that bring? That brings recruiting to another level.
Yeah.
Because when I was at Sanford, our first year, we were not good. We took over a program that wasn't in a good spot. But we recruited an incredible class after our first year because we were able to say we were playing at the highest tempo in the country. So if you could win or lose anyway, I'd prefer to do it in a way that we could recruit well to and the fans can rally around. And so we want to win and be entertaining, and we want the person that loves watching basketball to like to watch us play. But we also want that, hey, the sorority girl who may not know as much about basketball says, hey, that's fun. I like going, and I'm going to rally around that.
Right.
And then most importantly, we want our players to play hard and unselfish, and harder and more unselfish than the other team, because that's how you're successful. But that's what fits this place. It fits Aggies, right?
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Oh, that selflessness. But as you talk about, like, with all this pace, this isn't going to be. You're going to have cutters and slashers. Like you say, they're going to be able to rack it. I get that. But that ball's going to move, right? And that one more is the difference between an open, good to great, right?
Yeah. Well, in the little exhibition the other game, we went out the first half trying to score 100. And then the second half, we just let the game come to us while playing fast.
Yeah.
But making extra passes. And then all of a sudden, we scored 55 the second half. I think the best way to score points is to be a great passing team.
Right. And
all of my good shooting teams that shoot a high clip from three, they're great passing teams. And when you make life easy like that, usually the points will go up.
And it's the one thing that I've noticed over the course of my career, that those passes, when you can pass to a shooter in rhythm, he's not taking it off his ankle, right?
Yeah.
It's not over his head. That becomes just as important as the shot, does it not?
Yeah. 2 parts of passing. Number one's vision. Can you see it? Some people just can't see. And that's what we talk about. Like, if you can't see, you can't process. So we made a mistake recruiting. If you just can't simply see, it's really hard to get players to see. We can help them see faster.
Right.
And then it's, the skill of actually passing the ball. Like, some couldn't knock that cup off right there,
right.
Right. But others could do it looking away from it.
Yeah.
So you really got to have both. But, a great basketball player who can see the game knows where all 9 players on the floor are. If you stopped it, right? You said, stop. All right, where's everybody? They know. And I don't think coaches look at that enough in the recruiting process.
Right.
Like, you can't see that. If you can't see the pass, it's really hard to play defense because you can't see rotations. Because if you're a good passer, you can see where this ball is supposed to go and where all the other players on the floor are.
Yeah.
So then when you're on defense, you can predict where the pass is about to go.
Right.
But if you can't see to pass anyway, then when you're on defense, you have no idea where they're supposed to pass it.
Right.
And so I value players who can pass it and they can see the game.
Manu Ginobili, I've always heard this, that good players know where their teammates are. Great players know where the opposition is. Manu once broke down a late game possession by saying where the defense was supposed to be, and they weren't.
Yeah.
That's just seeing the game differently, right?
Yeah. Well, their team was probably the best passing NBA team in the last 30 years.
It was that beautiful game. But that's, and as you were talking about, that 3-point stance, right? One-handed passing.
Yeah.
For this team, correct?
Yeah. Well, it's just, we're talking about a player we recruited from another school who's a great coach, Hall of Fame coach, and, they teach triple threat. They teach, 2 hands with every pass, never throw a one-handed pass, always put 2 hands on it. And like we talk, like I never want our players to be in triple threat, and I tell them the only time I want to see a 2-handed pass is if you come to a jump stop.
Right.
Like every other time, this should just be right out of your hand, one-hand flick. And that's because that's the pace that we need to be able to play. And it takes them a while to get used to it. And players are different fits. We had a player on our team, Rylan Griffin, who was a great fit playing fast at one place, and then he went another place they didn't play as fast, and he just wasn't as good.
Right.
And he'll have a great year for us because this fits what he does.
I like what else you mentioned about, like, when the lights were brightest, he was there. That was you said not just a Final Four player, a starter on that team. That matters, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the big-time players show up in big games, right? And you hear that saying, big-time players make big-time plays in those big games. Rylan is that. He has that in him. And Pop does too.
Yeah.
I mean, Pop's last game he played, he had like 30 on Kansas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those guys aren't afraid of the moment.
Right.
And they're going to need to lead this group because a lot of these players, they're new to the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They obviously hadn't played a game here yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ruben Dominguez hadn't played a game in the United States. Right. So, we're going to need those players that have been in these moments to lead the group. Mm-hmm. And, that's what this pre-conference schedule is for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One final segment of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. Come on back to Rudy's. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. Final segment of this edition, Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. We thank you so much for joining us as you have each week so far. This final check-in is from Mountain Brook, Alabama. William Galloway is checking in and saying hello. What a fine, fine young man he is.
William Galloway. You'll see him calling one of our games on ESPN one day.
I have no doubt.
Yep,
I have no doubt. So just a little backstory. When Bucky was hired, I had talked with William when the Aggies were playing Alabama in football. We stayed in touch, and he would keep up with basketball and this and that, and he would let me know about what Bucky's doing at Samford and how he knew him. So when Bucky was hired, the first text I got after that announcement was William congratulating. I think he gave me your number. I'm not sure. And I think I apologized for the text, like, hey, here's how I got your number. But, Bucky, what does it say that we've already talked about your AD, Mark Newton, saying go. But whether it was former players or anybody who has dealt with you has been so happy. Now, I don't know if they're going to be happy when you walk back in there and give them an L, but it says an awful lot about you and the programs that you built, does it not?
Well, every place I've been, we kind of built it from the community.
Yeah.
And when I coached high school basketball, I mentioned this, we were at a program that hadn't really competed at a state level when we became a top 5 team in the country. And that only happened because we had the community rally around, and that was our team. And we built something really incredible. We go down to the best big school dynasty in all of high school basketball.
Yeah.
Then at Sanford, it was the same way. Same situation. We just had everybody in the community rally around what we were doing and took ownership in it. And we did something truly unique, won 3 Southern Conference championships in the past 4 years. So it was a great run there. And that's kind of what we're talking about right now.
Right.
That's what we got to do here is we got to come together and we got to fight together during the good, during the bad. And point being, because of that, when I went from Mountain Brook to Sanford, those Mountain Brook people felt they helped elevate me to there. And then those Sanford people helped elevate me to here, you know. And so, you know, I always get the text, you know, hey, unless you're playing the Tide, I'm an Aggie. Right?
Love it.
And then I've had a couple text me saying, I don't care if you are playing the Tide, I'm an Aggie. Don't tell anyone that. I may get shot in Alabama. But so I don't know where Willie G falls, but I expect to see him courtside in Coleman Coliseum with a bodyguard.
That will be awesome. Hey, I am so happy to say this to you right now. Beat the hell out of Northwestern State.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
And then Texas Southern, and then Oklahoma State. Beat the hell out of everybody, Coach. I'm so glad this season's here, and we are off and running. Thank you, as always.
Thanks for your coverage, and thank y'all. Y'all were great. I appreciate all of y'all. Be here quick. Thank you very much.
Head coach, Fighting Texas Aggies, Bucky McMillan, and we tip things off next Monday, Northwestern State at 7. The Dos Equis tip-off show will come your way at 6:30. Dr. John Thornton and I will join you then all along the network. Time to tell you that Brett Otto produces the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan, and our engineer here at Rudy's is Kevin Menchow. Coming up on Wednesday, you'll catch this locally in College Station, Willie 1550. Aggie Volleyball Hour with Jamie Morrison. Wednesday at 6 will be that show here at Rudy's. And a reminder that Friday night, Reed Arena, that volleyball team will be taking on the Texas Longhorns. No Aggie Football Hour. It's a bye week. We are back in 2 Wednesdays with head coach Mike Elko, and that Aggie Football Hour is presented by Capital Farm Credit. And just as Bucky said, we thank you so much for joining us here at Rudy's, all along the network, on the 12th Man mobile app or the Varsity Network app. And thanks for checking in and all the comments behind the mic. For head coach Bucky McMillan, I'm Andrew Monaco. We thank you so much for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield.
This has been the Aggie Basketball Hour with Bucky McMillan. Brought to you by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Texas A&M Sports Network.